Hello, and welcome to Off the Field and Screens, the Detroit Way, a Detroit sports podcast. I'm your host, Chad Marriott, and after having a week off, we're back at it. And the big story coming into this week is that the Pistons have started their season. They started out 2-2, and there's been some good stuff and some bad stuff. Let's just go ahead and get the bad stuff out of the way first. It's been really just a lack of consistency, because when this team is rolling, playing good defense, moving the ball, getting out on the break, they're really good and they're a really fun product to watch. When it's going wrong, it's tough. And you can attribute some of that, I think, to the youth of the team and to some changing parts, I think. But let's look at what the big issues are. The broadcast in their first nationally televised game, if you even can call it that, on Peacock, where they had a national media cover the game, they talked a lot about the lack of three-point shooting. Now, they have not shot great. There's no denying that. But I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think the slow starts, let's look at the first quarters. So far this year, after the first quarter, they have trailed 35-19, 33-32, 33-24, and 33-24. So, starting out slow like that, giving up a lot of points in the first quarter and not scoring a lot in general, let's take all of those. They allowed at least 33 points in every quarter, and in 3 of those games, they failed to score 25. So if you track that over every game, over a full game, that means really, on average, they would lose every game 120 some to like 95. That's not sustainable, obviously, and they're going to have to find a way to play more, to come out with that sense of urgency early. They talked about that after the first game, and in the second game they did. And then against Boston and against Cleveland, they did not come out with a sense of urgency. And that never really came against Cleveland. They looked tired. I know it was the third game in 4 nights, but still, they're professional athletes. Now, to this point about the shooting hasn't been great. But I think those numbers need some context. I think the shot selection has been really poor, and that has a lot to do with the stagnant offense they've had for a lot of stretches this year, particularly against Cleveland. They never really reversed the ball. There was a lot of isolation, a lot of end of the shot clock jumpers. They weren't getting open looks. There was not a lot of ball movement, not a lot of people movement, and that makes it really hard to score against anybody. But it's a lot to ask Cade Cunningham to save the day more often when they have Mobley and Allen down there, a couple of 7-footers that just want to stand and protect the rim. You really need to get them moving, get the defense rotating, get them out of position to get some easier shots. Yeah, they're going to have to work harder to get better shots. I mean, that's just the way basketball is. And anybody thinking, oh, you can just shoot your way out of this. There aren't a lot of shooters that can shoot themselves open, And everybody's going to say, oh, Malik Beasley. Yeah, some nights he would catch a heater and he'd be phenomenal. But other nights, not so much. And the problem with relying on somebody just to have a phenomenal game like that is it's not sustainable. And we saw that in the playoffs, where when the Pistons didn't have Beasley or Hardaway go on a heater, they were struggling to score. And it's like, well, it's because they need more shooters. No, they need to run a better offense. And from there, that's when they talk about, oh, it's because they need more playmakers, which I actually think is not as big of a problem as the media is making it out to be during that Cleveland game. Because Asar Thompson didn't play a lot in that game. I'm not sure what's going on. If he's got an injury that's going to take him out for a while, the Pistons are in big trouble because Ivy's already out. Because he only played 15 minutes in that game. But in the 2 games prior, he was phenomenal. And he was doing a great job bringing up the ball and running the offense. I think they're really missing Jaden Ivey. I mean, that's obvious. Another ball handler. And they tried, when Asar was out, to have a few other guys take the load off and bring the ball up, run the offense when... with Cade instead of Asar. They tried Dennis Jenkins. They tried some Ron Holland. And I see where that's going. It's not there yet. Because sometimes Holland gets a little ahead of himself still and tries to push the pace even when it's not there. It's great to push the pace. But you have to be able to evaluate what's happening in transition here, or what's happening on this possession, or where's the game trending. And I know it's not in fashion anymore to say, maybe it's a good time to slow it down and run some clock here. Because everybody likes the 7-second offense now, which I get. But sometimes you need to do something to change the momentum of the game. And the worst thing you can do, maybe I'm alone in this opinion, the worst thing you can do when the other team is on a good run and breaking out into the fast break, getting a lot of transition baskets, the worst thing you can do is take a quick shot, because that is equal to a turnover. Sometimes it would be good to try and find, to slow it down and work something else out, get into the pick and roll or something. I know the quick offense, sometimes your best chance is early, and that's great. But I think the Pistons sometimes have take that to its extreme, and then they take the opposite to the extreme. But the problem with the stagnant half-court offense isn't that you just slow it down. They need to still move the ball. And when they get the ball moving and the people moving, the Pistons offense is really, really good. And they don't necessarily need a ton of great shooters. Because I do think that Harris is going to pick it up a little bit. And obviously Duncan Robinson's career numbers suggest he's going to shoot a little bit better. But that shot selection has not been great early in the season. And I mean, just to point this out for the shooting thing, they actually shot a higher 3-point percentage. It was only by 1 basket, than Cleveland. It really comes down to they need to take better shots and work for better shots and move the ball and get that defense rotating, because they didn't really do that. Another problem is the turnovers. They've really got to cut the turnovers down. And I think it's trending that way, but every once in a while, we'll see, as fans, we'll see a segment of a game where there's a turnover, and it's like, whoa, and then they call a timeout. Bickerstaff kind of says, hey, we need to take care of the ball. And they come back out and they take care of the ball, and then inevitably there's another segment where it's turnover. Need to be better about that. Because the offense does look a little awkward. I think they're still learning to play with each other. And then you have some players taking on different roles, like Thompson taking on a ball handler role, Holland taking a more prominent position in the offense. And they're kind of learning how to play with each other. So that's kind of still developing early season. It's only been 4 games. Let's not panic and have a repeat of, the way everyone panicked, myself included, when the Lions lost their first game in such an ugly fashion. It's early. This is a young team. I think they're going to be okay. And getting Ivy back and staying healthy is going to be obviously massive for this team. The one thing that I think can't be like let's take care of the ball, learn when to push, learn when we need to slow it down, We got to move the ball, got to move without the ball. That stuff like can progress and develop. And, you need to see like, oh, okay, these guys are getting in a rhythm. They're shooting better now. That's fine. That's natural course of a season. The transition defense thing is awful. Can't happen. They have to get back on defense and stop the ball. It's one thing if they get out, if a team gets off on the break quick or off of like a long rebound or something, it's like, yeah, okay, that happens. Or a bad turnover, okay, yeah, it's tough to get back in transition there. But they would make a basket and get beat back to the other end. That can't happen. And a few times, the Cavalier that brought up the ball would go all the way and get a layup. That absolutely can't happen. The transition defense has to get better, and it has to get better tomorrow. The next time they play, they cannot allow that to become a thing again, because that's what they struggled with a lot last season, especially early in the season. Transition defense is just getting back and playing defense. So it's not like some schematic thing, some development thing. It's just get back and play defense. They just have to do it. These other things, offensively, I think that's habit building and, will come with time as the season progresses. No. Get back on defense. Stop the ball. That's like one of the first things they teach playing basketball is stop the ball. Don't let the guy that brought it up go straight to the basket. It seems silly. They're NBA players and they're struggling with transition defense. That's something that I'm sure they're talking about and have to get better at. Let's turn it over to the Red Wings, who are giving us whiplash. They also had a horrible first game of the season. And then reeled off 5 straight wins, and then looked atrocious for 2.5 games, I think. And then they had that amazing comeback, which is awesome. It was fun to watch the comeback on Saturday against the Blues, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for every time they revert back to that lackluster, I guess is the best way to describe it, where they're making huge defensive mistakes. They're not winning puck battles. Just that kind of almost lifeless brand of hockey. It's not sustainable to have Todd McClellan chew them out, rip into them every game like that, because eventually it's not going to mean anything. At some point, the leaders on this team have to step up and say, this is unacceptable. We have a standard here, and we need to live up to it. That's what great teams do, any sport. You have to have people willing to say, no, we're not doing that. If you play your game and you lose, that's just par for the course. But it's unacceptable to have the terrible mistakes and the lack of effort sometimes. And I know we're not supposed to say that about professional athletes. Oh, they're professional athletes. The effort's there. I've watched enough sporting events to know that sometimes teams just don't give it their all or don't give it their best. Now, to complement some players, JT Compher and Jonathan Berggren, have been really good in the last couple of games. They each have 4 points in the last 3. And Berggren is finally starting to look like that depth scoring option that the team has been looking for. He's not going to be a big goal scorer, but he facilitates really well. He's getting to the right spot. And he's small, but he's playing a bigger game than Soderblom and Rasmussen, which is an indictment on both of them that they need to use their size. Because I feel like Berggren's been doing a good job trying to get in there and do his best in these puck battles and such. Compher, too, he's doing the work that he needs to do as that, depth center position. And they've both been working really hard out there, so they deserve some credit for that. And it does show that some players are taking the coaching to heart. some of these veterans are. And it needs to be team-wide. Everybody that's out on the ice needs to have that effort every night. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the Red Wings right now. Because it's hard to say, like, it feels a little bit like we got a version of the Red Wings that was kind of the same storyline as what the Tigers went through this year, where they had stretches where it's like, oh my gosh, this is like the best team in the sport, and other times where it looked like this is the worst team maybe I've ever watched. And the Red Wings managed to put that all into the first couple weeks of the season. And the reality is they're probably somewhere in between there, hoping closer to the good part. But they're probably not as good as they've looked in some games, and they're definitely not as bad as they've looked in some games. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where this team settles. The Lions. One thing, just going to talk quickly, major trends with them. They look a lot more consistent this year. I know that sounds weird after a 15-2 year. But last year, it felt a lot like they were just rolling over teams and just pummeling them in these big, huge, flashy plays and massive performances. This feels a little bit more playoff football sustainable this year. I know they're 5-2, but I think that's good to say that they're 5-2 through probably what's going to be the toughest stretch of the season. And I really think that they're taking a more long-term approach, not trying to gas themselves out or show off. I think sometimes last year there were some coordinators doing some things to try and improve their resume, which that's part of football, I guess. But this year, the rush defense, again, is really, really good. But the defense overall, this is a playoff-worthy defense. And in the Dan Campbell era, I think this is the first time that they've really had like a top-tier playoff-level defense. Maybe that first year they made the playoffs in 23, but now you have a hopefully stays healthy defense. But the performance they put on against Tampa Bay with a lot of reserves out there, especially in the secondary, just goes to show that schematically this defense is much improved, and they're willing to change when the game requires it. Willing to change the scheme, willing to adapt to what's happening. And that's, to me, the biggest plus quality of a coach in terms of game planning. Anybody can game plan. The greats can adapt in the game. And Calvin Shepard has shown that he's capable of doing that at a very high level, too. So the next 4 of their next 6 games are at home. This is really a chance to kind of solidify a playoff position with a lot of home games. And their 5 games in November are against the Vikings, the Commanders, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Packers. That's a very winnable stretch here. A lot of winnable games. Now it's the NFL. No game is guaranteed. But this is a good time to really dig in and kind of solidify this offense to see what they're going to be for this season in any playoff run. Really kind of get things going. The clean it up offensive line development, the defense kind of starting to really take shape. This could all really come together here, particularly because they have a tougher stretch in December to end the season, really. 3 of their last 4 are on the road, including against the Rams on the road, and then 2 divisional games on the road to end the season, with a home game against Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers, our favorite Lions fans, sandwiched in there. So this is really a time they need to do some heavy lifting in the schedule. Stack up some wins here. Now, to end, I want to talk very briefly about the Tigers offseason, because baseball offseason is coming up. Pretty much baseball starts right as soon as the season is over, although there can be some long stretches of nothingness. I think, to me, the big things that they need a contact hitter, somebody with a good plate approach. I know that everyone wants to scream about home run power hitter. Sure, as long as that home run power hitter also gets on base a lot, walks, low strikeout rate. Lots of contact. I would like to see that. They need somebody like that in that lineup, especially somebody that can maybe be infectious and get everybody to take a more, to take a better approach. I think they need a swing and miss reliever, and I like a lot of their bullpen. I do. They didn't finish the season perfectly or anything, but they have a lot of good options. I think, though, what they're really missing is a solid swing and miss reliever. Somebody at the back end to get strikeouts. Because some of this contact relievers late in games can lead to some serious chaos. So they need somebody to get some swing and miss. Troy Melton kind of filled that role in some part in the latter end of the season, but he's moving to the rotation. And then I know there's a lot of talk about a starting pitcher. I'm not sure that they need a starting pitcher, but I was curious. I said this last year too, and I kind of hinted at it about the deadline. I'm in favor of, like, if they're going to get another old rotation guy, I would like to see Justin Verlander in the is an option of somebody to pick up. And he didn't set the world on fire last year, but you should also remember Verlander is 42, going to be 43. 43 before the next season starts, so that's not what you'd expect. But after August 1st, so after that deadline, he pitched 11 games and had a 2.87 ERA, struck out 60, and walked 18. For a middle to back end starter, I mean, that would be awesome. And I feel like this would be a great opportunity for someone to finish his career in Detroit, and for Detroit to have somebody come back like that. Talk about a free agent signal, somebody that wants to come finish their career here. It might even help the team in terms of further in terms of reputation, because I know that as of in recent years, some free agents like Gleyber Torres signed here because of a recommendation from somebody that had played here, Gio Urshela, I believe. So they treat their players right, but it would be huge to get a name like that to come back. And somebody that I think we could use, and I mean, even just for the vibes of him to pitch, say, one more year on top of the possibility of one more year with Skubal, it would just be like a storybook for the fans and for the Tigers season to say, let's put it all the chips on the table for this one season in terms of like narratively. But we'll see. I feel like they might be moving on from that, adding somebody at that age with all the injuries that they've had, and especially this past season. But in general, they tried Kenta Maeda, they tried Alex Cobb, they tried Charlie Morton, and that is 0 for 3, 3 swings, 3 misses. They struck out, so maybe they're going to try something else. Who knows? But this has been the Detroit way.